What up, Dude Nice Nation? Welcome to the second episode of our podcast, and thanks for listening. Welcome again, guys. We are Dude Nice Sports. Since our last podcast, I set up our official Twitter account, which is at Dude Nice Sports.
Dude Nice.
So,
Dude Nice.
For those of you who listen, if you could give us a follow on Twitter, that would be awesome. And of course, if you want to be a part of our show, if you just hashtag your tweets, Dude Nice Sports, that will work.
Sounds good to me.
Or tweet at us. Either way, we can find those tweets.
Dude Nice.
So, our first round of topics, we're going to kind of talk about the NFL from the last couple weeks, things that we've noticed, things that we want to touch on. Our first topic, we're going to talk about the NFC North. I know we all picked the Packers, guys, right, for that division. But
I don't know if I picked the Packers.
I think you did.
Did I?
Because you wouldn't have picked the Vikings or the Bears or the Lions.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think we all picked.
the Packers.
So, but I want to talk about the Lions, actually. Sunday, they played the Saints. And the Saints were up by, I think, 10 points or so close to the end of the game. And the Lions were able to come back and win. And now they have the same record as the Packers. And to me, they look legit. I don't know what you guys think.
No, I was reading this thing on, I think it was on Bleacher Report, and they were talking about like big threes within like the NFL for teams, and like obviously like the Cowboys have a pretty good one, but they said like the Lions have a good big three within like Stafford, Bush, and then Calvin Johnson. Obviously, Calvin Johnson is probably the best receiver, and Reggie Bush obviously isn't one of the best runners, but he's still good.
And Calvin Johnson was even out this week, right?
One thing too, I was gonna say, Calvin Johnson's been out, right? Like he's been injured, but yet the Lions keep getting better. Obviously, with their main receiver now that Calvin Johnson is out, being Golden Tate, who's playing really good for the Lions. So, like, I don't know. I think they can only get better because they're going to implement Megatron into their lineup.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody will ever say that Megatron will hurt a lineup.
No.
And alongside Reggie Bush, Joique Bell's actually a really good running back as well.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
They kind of got that 1-2. Stafford is a good quarterback.
Yeah. Their tight end's pretty good too, right? Is that Pettigrew? Or is he there anymore? I don't even know if he's there.
They drafted a rookie, but I'm not sure. That Ebron guy from UCLA.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not sure how he's been doing. But yeah, they do have that three-headed monster there. If you can run the ball, they'll usually win you games, and if you have a receiver like Calvin Johnson, that really helps.
But like the Packers too, like you have a good quarterback with Rodgers,
Eddie Lacy
running the ball, and like the receivers are good. Like Jordy Nelson's been playing good.
Oh, he's been amazing, and Randall Cobb too has caught quite a few touchdowns and.
But at the same time, like
racking up the yards.
I don't know. I don't really know if like the Packers will have a super good season. Like they're looking good. Like
yeah, but I think it'll come down to these two teams. I think the Packers, of course, will outlast the Lions, but I really think the Lions are for real. Like they're not just messing around. They haven't just won these games because of luck. They've actually won them because I think they're a good team.
But it'll most likely come down to like the Lions and the Packers for that division.
Yeah.
Just for the record, Pettigrew has started 7 games this year and has 9 receptions for 68 yards.
So well, he's not doing very
well.
I was wrong on that.
I imagine they do sort of like a tight end by committee sort of thing.
I think they switch them out. Yes, they do.
Yeah. I think we all think the Lions are in it to win it. They're not just going to fade away. At least I don't think they will. Something else that we noticed from this last week. So a lot of things have been happening in the AFC North, with the Bengals being absolutely stomped by the Colts, being shut out.
Yeah.
Everyone.
What is this, hockey?
Yeah,
seriously.
Shutouts don't really happen in football a lot. Everyone thought when the Bengals were 3-0 that they could be probably the best team in football, but they've shown they tied with the Panthers. Now I think they're 3-1.
Yeah.
I think is their record. Ken, I don't know if you want to check on that for us really quick.
Yeah,
But it's nothing great. Like,
Yeah, no, it's
obviously not the best record in their division, and nowhere near like safe when it comes to playoffs. Well, obviously early for playoffs, but
right. But we all talked about it last time how we don't really trust Andy Dalton. I think Dalton is a good quarterback. Like
he is.
He's a solid quarterback, but if you look at his stats, you really don't get blown away ever. He never has one of those games where you're like, oh wow, like this guy really could be like an elite quarterback. And I think that's the main reason why they aren't one of those top teams. They have the talent. AJ Green, Giovanni Bernard is
he's
sick running
super
back.
good, yeah.
And their defense is good overall.
Yep.
The Bengals are 3-2-1.
3-2-1, sorry.
There we go.
So,
but still, they've really been unimpressive to me here in the last few weeks. And
right. Well, I mean, AJ Green's been injured. He's really most of their offense as far as like receiving core goes. Trust me, I would know he's on my fantasy team. It's been hurting me. It's been hurting me because AJ Green's been almost my top point getter. So, I mean, they were good, but I still agree with you guys. Like they're just not.
It's kind of similar to like Detroit, hey? Like the situation that Detroit's in. Like they have like potential to like we talked about winning their division. Well, like Megatron's out, but here AJ Green's out. If they can get them back and start winning again, they could win their division.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Green's going to be probably the X factor in
absolutely
winning this division. Because I mean, I picked the Bengals. You guys picked the Steelers to win the division.
Yep.
But I mean, I think I said it was going to be by a close margin, and that's I got to stick by my pick. And I think with AJ Green back, they can do enough to win it. But having said that, the Ravens look really, really good.
They're looking good this year. Yeah,
picking up Steve Smith in the offseason was great. That guy can still ball. I know he's old, or at least we all think he's old.
Yeah.
But that guy hasn't really had any issues. I think he had one game where he didn't do very well, but the rest of the time he's caught close to 100 yards, scored touchdowns. He's just been really the player that's made the Ravens where they are now.
And I think like with the whole like Ray Rice thing that went down, like that could easily like have an effect on a team where it's like, oh, we're having a losing record. Obviously, like we can say like we had the whole thing with Ray Rice happen, and that like got in the way of
use it as an
us
excuse.
playing our and like they just have guys step up like Steve Smith and like Joe Flacco had one game where he was just amazing, and then the running back that took Rice's spot, Forsett or something.
They have like 2 or 3 guys that they usually run out there now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Forsett's played well. I honestly thought the Ray Rice loss was going to be a huge thing for them, not being able to run the ball. But they've had guys step up, and their passing game is a lot better this year with Steve Smith. And their defense hasn't been too shabby either.
I just want to comment again on how good Joe Flacco has been playing recently. Like, I don't know if you guys ever like followed his stats at all, but like the last few weeks he's just been playing like unreal. Like he had
like 5 touchdowns against Tampa Bay the other week.
Yeah.
And those were like all in the first half, I think, or maybe 4 of the 5. But I know he threw for 5 touchdowns that game.
Do you remember the contract he signed right after they won the Super Bowl? I remember. I think I said it to you. I was like, Joe Flacco is not worth that much. Mm-hmm. But like when he's playing like that, maybe he is worth that much. Oh yeah,
I think that. I mean, Flacco's one of those guys that, you're not going to be amazed by his performance all the time, but he can have games where you're like, this guy's good.
Yeah. And
he showed that in those playoffs when they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. He showed that he can be a guy that can carry a team there. And I mean, he's got one of the strongest arms in the NFL as well, so that doesn't hurt him either. Now we can continue on with the AFC North. Talk a little about me and Kent's Steelers. Remember last podcast when I said I was scared of the Browns when they played the Steelers a couple weeks ago, and I was scared for a good reason. I mean, the Steelers got absolutely stomped, 31-10, I believe the final score was.
Yeah.
and Hoyer played really, really well.
Brian football.
But, I mean, then the Browns turn around and lose to the Jags this last week, and Hoyer has an absolutely terrible game.
And then the Steelers play awesome.
Yeah, and the Steelers
Monday night
step it up and beat the Texans.
Their defense came through in that game. That's all I have to say. Like that's why they came back. They scored 24 points in 3 minutes. Like
that was like we all watched that game, and that was fun. Like that was fun football to watch.
They played really well.
But at the same time, like you said, Kent and I both picked the Steelers to win that division. And if the Steelers are playing like that, like if their defense is playing that well, and their offense was doing pretty good after like they were getting turnovers and stuff, but like they could easily win the division playing like that all the time.
Yeah, and I think too. I like talking about the Steelers because I'm a Steelers fan, but like the Steelers, their problems are that their defense doesn't stay off the field long enough because their offense is crappy. Well, it has been. So like their offense never gives the defense time to rest, right? So then when the offense started playing good, the defense had more energy, and then the defense made plays, as we can see from Monday night. And then when the defense makes plays, then the offense gets fired up, and then everything just runs smoothly. So that's just like, not just with the Steelers, it's like any team. So that really helped them as far as playing better all around because they were all making plays and helping each other out and playing more like a team, I thought.
Yeah, they really showed that, you know, if your defense makes plays, then that's what can help you win those games. The thing that I'm still a little bit scared of with the Steelers is just their inconsistency because they scored all those points in the last 3 minutes of the half, but then they had 2 field goals all second half. It was enough to win, but I don't see enough consistency with their offense or their defense. By the end of the game, they started getting it to Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, just giving it to him in space, like on screens or, you know, little short passes. And those guys were breaking off big games. And I think they just need to do that more. Give it to those playmakers on their team that can do that. And Roethlisberger had that pass to Martavis Bryant.
That was awesome.
This was Bryant's first game. I believe he was their 4th round pick. Or 3rd or 4th round pick this year. And he's kind of a speedster, but he's also really tall. And so I'm really hoping that he can come through and step up as one of those second wide receivers because no one else has really stepped up behind Antonio Brown to help Roethlisberger out in the passing game.
Yeah. But like the Steelers are another team who have like a kind of a big 3 that's really good, like Roethlisberger, Brown, and Bell.
Yeah.
Like those and you watch Bell when he was carrying the ball and like some of his runs that he had, he's looking really good.
Well, he's the 3rd leading rusher in the league, right? So, I mean, I don't think anybody would have guessed that at the first of the season. Of course, because you'd throw like LaShawn McCoy and like Adrian Peterson in there, but now that Adrian Peterson's not a factor and McCoy carries with Sproles and he's not playing that good, like it gives Le'Veon Bell a chance to shine. And those of you guys out there that have watched Le'Veon Bell run the ball, he's just really smart about picking and choosing what holes to hit. He's a really patient runner. And I think that's what's helped him be as good as he is because he waits for his blocks and he sets his blocks up and then he hits the hole and then he accelerates out of them. So he's looking really good right now. And like Kyle was saying, Antonio Brown, if you give those playmakers a chance to make plays, they're going to make plays. That's
like
just
left-handed,
the way they are.
Left-handed touchdown passes.
That was sick, man.
Absolutely.
So this division is wide open. Yeah. I feel like. I know the Ravens, I think, are 5-2.
Yeah.
But the Steelers are 4-3. The Browns, I think, are 3-4.
3-3.
The Browns are 3-3. Okay. And we said that the Bengals are 3-2-1. So like this division is still jam packed. They're all close to each other. Close. I think the Steelers are like a game back of the Ravens, and so really this could go either way, and some crazy things are happening in that division. We might even see the debut of Johnny Manziel soon if Hoyer doesn't come back doesn't start playing the way that he did before. So
and Cleveland would love that. They got Johnny Manziel, they got LeBron James. They're going to win everything this year.
Yeah, apparently. Now let's switch to talking about the Cowboys. In that NFC East, me and Ben have picked them to win the division. Kent picked the Eagles, and they have I believe they have the same record. They're each 5-1, and they actually, I think they play this week.
They play each other?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they do, yeah.
I'll double check that.
Is that on Sunday night game?
I'm not sure exactly when it is, but I believe they do play each other. But to me, like, these last 2 weeks, the Cowboys have really shown that they're here to stay. They beat Seattle 2 weeks ago, which is very impressive in its own right. I know Seattle has some injuries on the defense, but that doesn't matter. Like, Seattle is clearly the best team in the NFC, or at least they were. I mean, I don't know if you can say it anymore, but to me, with the Cowboys with that win, and then they beat the Giants last week, they're just showing that...
I hate the Giants.
They're just showing that they can hang with anyone, because when you have Murray at the running back, he's a leading rusher in the NFL. I think they showed a stat that him alone has outrushed, I think, all but 4 teams in the NFL, or something like 4 or 5 teams. Like, he alone has more rushing yards than every team except for about 4 or 5 teams.
I don't think the Eagles and
Dallas plays the Redskins this week.
Philadelphia
plays Arizona.
I made a mistake, but I think they play.
But regardless,
they will play. Yeah.
Yeah, because for some reason I thought it was this week, but disregard that, I guess.
But
don't Cowboys and Redskins play Monday night next week?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
So.
But like you were saying, like kind of like we talked about, like I was saying before, like they had like a really good big 3 with Bryant, Murray, and Romo. Like.
Oh yeah.
But like I was watching this thing, and this guy was saying he's like, can we just stop for a minute and just give Tony Romo some credit? Like obviously chokes and like has a history of that, but really like I always said he was a choke artist and like always made fun of him for that. But I'll be honest, I think he's doing really good and playing really well, and just like rubs off on like the rest of the guys, and they're all performing really well too. So they're like in the power rankings I was looking, they're number 1. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of people projected their defense to be like the worst in the NFL because most of their big name guys left in the offseason. And in all honesty, nobody had a reason to believe that their defense would play any good, but they really stepped up with the guys that they have and have been able to effectively play defense. So, I don't know if you have any thoughts on the Cowboys, Kent. Or...
Well, I just was going to say, like, I guess my prediction in the first podcast was way wrong.
Well,
as far as the season goes right now, like they're 5-1, right, or whatever.
But so are the Eagles.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess the Eagles are too. But at the same time, like, I was giving the Cowboys crap because they're always bad, and they are always bad, except this year.
And they very well could still be bad later on.
I don't know if this 5-1 record means that you should trust Tony Romo. Like, I don't think because it's still. I mean, he usually folds like second half of the season, so I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I like to give him. I mean, I'm giving them props. They're playing really good, but I don't know if you should hold them to this 5-1 record the whole season because under pressure, Romo has shown that he's terrible. So
yeah, and I mean,
you just never know. I mean, he could play well the rest of the season. So,
and the Eagles could take off the rest of the season, and Seattle can get things figured out. And
well, especially with the Eagles, because McCoy had one of his best games here a couple weeks ago, I think it was. And so I don't know if that means he's like finally like starting to click with him now, and like he can actually do that still, because he was like that last year, but he has kind of struggled this year. So if he starts playing like that more often and more regular, I feel like this Eagles could take off. But it's also up in the air. Like you never know. He could start playing bad again, and the Eagles could not pan out. So you just never know in this division.
Now we can move on to the Seahawks.
Wait.
Oh, unless you had you have another point?
Probably one of the most important things this week was Michael Sam
Oh,
got
yeah.
cut from the practice squad.
Who the hell cares?
That's a non-story.
It's a non-story.
It's a terrible football player getting cut from a practice squad.
Dude, I also heard that LeBron is losing his hair. It's a non-story. Nobody cares.
His headband fell off.
Yeah. LeBron is also the first player to score 60 points wearing a face mask
and after eating chicken the night before.
Chicken noodle soup.
Chicken noodle.
Hashtag ESPN headlines.
Hashtag chunky soup. Oh, you said chicken soup. Sorry.
So, yeah, let's after that, let's move on to the Seahawks themselves. We said they lost to the Cowboys 2 weeks ago, and this last week.
How about those Rams? How about those Rams?
They're tricky devils.
They're
tricky.
Sly.
Bat rastards.
It's actually a great punt trick play thing they did where they made the whole Seahawks team believe that the punt was going to the other side of the field when I don't really know how they pulled it off, but
And against one of the best
worked.
defenses in the game.
Yeah, that was really cool to see how they took those chances and it paid off for them. But yeah, what do you guys make of the Seahawks struggles the last couple of weeks? Like, what do you think maybe that stems from, or why it's happening?
I think what they showed was when the Seahawks were winning so much and did so well when they won the Super Bowl was their run game was a lot better than it has been. Like this season, their run game hasn't been very good. Like Marshawn Lynch has had a couple of weeks where he's been pretty good, but nowhere near like last year. And so they're saying like that kind of helps or is a factor with their offense struggling a little bit. And obviously, Percy Harvin got traded, so that's more offense kind of going the other way.
Right.
But also, I just with the Rams
Doing that whole punt fake thing. These teams aren't as afraid of them anymore as I think last year teams were scared to go and play their defense because they were very good.
We'll even take week 1, I believe it was, where who'd they play week 1?
Packers.
The Packers, where Aaron Rodgers didn't throw Sherman's way at all that game, right? Because he was scared of him.
Right.
Then the Chargers played him. Phillip Rivers threw Sherman's side all night, and they beat him.
Phillips all night long.
And Romo wasn't scared to throw that either when the Cowboys played him.
I agree with what you said, Ben. Teams are starting to figure out, hey, we shouldn't be scared of these guys because they're good, but they're
not
invincible. We can beat them. And that's exactly right. And I agree with your point, too, about the running game. These last few games, Russell Wilson has tried to put the team on his back and carry them, and he's being really successful. But with the quarterback, you can't put a whole game on a quarterback's back. Take Peyton Manning, for example. Mm-hmm. The guy's career rushing total is probably -10. He doesn't run the ball.
He can't.
Right? He can't run the ball, but he wins, right? He
does.
knows how to win because he has players that'll make plays, right? So, but again, with the Seahawks, he doesn't necessarily have your Emmanuel Sanders and stuff like that to throw to, but he does have Marshawn Lynch who he can hand the ball to.
Yeah.
And, we all know beast mode, right? He's good. So they need to get him more involved in the offense, and the offensive line needs to make a better point of making those holes for him so he can run the ball effectively like he did last year, and that's how they won the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, I actually found that in watching the Seahawks the last couple weeks, they haven't really been handing the ball off to Lynch as much as they should. When they do, he's pretty effective. But it seems like they're kind of going away from it and kind of putting it in Wilson's hand more. And don't get me wrong, Russell Wilson's a good quarterback in this league. He will be for a long time. But their team last year relied on their running game and their defense. And so if they take one of those aspects out, then they're probably going to struggle.
Yeah.
So I think they should just hand the ball off more. And Ben said, touched on Harvin getting traded. And we're learning now that Harvin and Russell Wilson kind of maybe were never on the same page in the first place. Harvin had a problem with Wilson and with some other teammates as well. He punched Doug Baldwin.
Yeah, or Tate.
Golden Tate. And then he kind of got an altercation with Baldwin in the preseason. Something else I read as well. So he was just kind of one of those problem players that doesn't really get along with a lot of people. So they had to ship him out. And I know that takes a lot of firepower out of their passing game, but
that they didn't already have like their passing game wasn't. What am I trying to
It
say?
wasn't phenomenal.
They lost a receiver that they couldn't really afford to lose. Like they need good receivers, and I don't think they have like really good. Like you look at like Steelers, they have good receivers, and like Broncos have good receivers, and and so does Detroit. But I feel like all those teams have way better receivers than like the Seahawks do.
Well, yeah, like the Seahawks' best receiver now is Baldwin.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the guy catches passes.
Baldwin's good, but he's not.
I mean, I wouldn't put him on that elite.
But Wilson's
receiver
not.
level.
Wilson's not a quarterback like Manning, Brady, Rodgers, or Roethlisberger, where like he can throw the ball wherever he wants. He can put it wherever. Like he is good at passing, but not like I think like those other quarterbacks I just mentioned.
Well, I think too it's because he has the ability to run the ball.
Yeah.
And I feel like he uses it as an excuse to maybe not throw the ball as much because he knows, well, if all else fails, I can get it with my legs, right? Which is fine, but it doesn't give your receivers a chance to even get better. Because, I mean, like I said last time, we did this, with the whole Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne thing. When Peyton Manning was throwing to those guys, I feel like Peyton Manning made Reggie Wayne who he is right now. Because Peyton Manning gave Reggie Wayne a chance to shine, so then everybody acknowledged him and was like, holy crap, this guy is a legit receiver, right? So if Russell Wilson will put that ball out there for Baldwin to go and get, and things like that, I feel like they would be better receivers if they had that chance.
That's what I always say about Tom Brady and Wes Welker. Wes Welker was nothing before. Well, okay, he was okay, but Tom Brady made him really good. And then obviously he went into Manning.
Because
Manning's only going to make him better.
Yeah.
And he got an opportunity and became great.
I do agree with you on Wilson, Kent, but Wilson's different from a lot of the other running quarterbacks in the league that when I watch him, he doesn't cop out and run the ball. He tries to stand in the pocket and throw it when he's supposed to. And then when things completely break down, he runs. And that's where he's different from Kaepernick or the old Michael Vick, you know, whereas those guys would seriously, if their first read wasn't open, they might just tuck it and run. I think Wilson actually, he sits there, tries, and then if all else fails, then he's taken off. Or sometimes it's a designed run for him. But I think he's a little different than those other guys, just in that fact that he actually can be effective in the pocket, and he is, and he tries to be before he takes off.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, my point was just the fact that,
but definitely
because he knows
does.
it's there, then he's more susceptible to be if he feels like the pocket's breaking down and it's actually not, he'll still kind of roll out, which is fine. But
and I think we can all agree Wilson is not a pocket style quarterback like Manning and Brady. Yeah. You guys always talk about how Roethlisberger is very mobile, and I feel like Kaepernick and Wilson and Cam Newton, those guys are all just a different category and style of quarterback that has an option to run where Brady and Manning, like you said about Manning, what's his rushing stats in his career, right?
Probably even worse than that.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
They don't have that option.
Yeah.
Well, they don't need that option, I guess.
Right.
Either.
and so they make that, well, especially because, well, I mean, we'll talk about Peyton Manning in a minute.
Right, yeah, and that's exactly where I was just going to go to now. Speaking of Manning, I mean, he broke the touchdown pass record that Brett Favre held this last week against the 49ers. Absolutely destroyed the 49ers in that game.
Oh, yeah.
And now Peyton Manning has the touchdown record, which is pretty impressive because I think he's done it in a lot less years than Favre did, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe not a lot, but he's definitely younger than Favre was.
In fewer games, too, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just an impressive feat that Manning, I know his playoff success hasn't been what he probably wants it to be or what people kind of expect from him, but you can't deny that guy's regular season performances every single year. Like, he's never had a bad year. I mean, I think his first year might have been, but I mean, when people are rookies, they're never usually amazing. At least quarterbacks. But I mean, Manning's just been consistent, and that's why he's been able to break this record. I mean, he has games where he throws 4 to 7 touchdown passes in a game, and that'll definitely get you the record. I mean, he had a historic season last year. You know, breaking all sorts of records for like single season.
That pissed me off. He broke Tom Brady's record. Oh, I was mad.
And that was a good year by Brady too. Like I remember watching
That's when he
that
had
guy,
Randy
and I was
Moss,
like, man, he threw tons of touchdowns that year. It was almost ridiculous.
But I'll say, like, yeah, okay, I was mad when he broke Tom Brady's record and everything, but like he looks like he's just so good right now. Like, he's old, but it looks like he's going to keep playing, and he's so smart. Like, I know we always make fun of happy feet, but he knows what's going on, and he knows what to do. Like we said, like, he doesn't run a lot. Well, he doesn't need to, because when he sees things happening or defense is like shifting, like, he knows, okay, well, I'm just going to end up doing this or this, and I'm going to be fine.
That's why he audibles so much and, like, you know, says Omaha or
Omaha.
whatever he does, you know, like because he's just so good at it. That's where his success has come from. Is just he's probably one of the smartest players in the game, you know. So he's able to just squeeze in tight throws, be able to throw to these receivers where no other quarterback probably could.
Yeah, that pass that he threw to break the record was just like, it was like perfect placement, perfect ball, easy for his receiver to grab.
So there's our kind of NFL recap from the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Ken, you have something else?
One thing about Peyton Manning, like his career QB rating is 97.7. So like, I mean, that's uncanny. Like, that's really good. I mean, yeah, he had a few bad years, but who doesn't, right? Like, nobody can play like a superstar their whole career. And I was gonna say, I'm just looking at his stats here for his career, and like since '98 to 2014, he has a total of 26. Oh, hold on, sorry, check that. He has a total of 689 yards rushing the ball. So I guess I was a little wrong with my minus 10 thing, but
hey, I mean,
at the same time, like,
Wilson gets that probably every season.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
quarterbacks get that every season, right? So anyway, I was just gonna say, like, Peyton Manning's incredible. Like, you can't, you know, and again, like we were saying, like, his playoff stats are probably not the best. And everybody says, well, Eli Manning's won 2 rings and Peyton Manning only has 1.
Eli
but
sucks. Those
you
rings
find me a person that will take Eli over Peyton, and I'll find you a liar.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the way it is.
No one would take...
Because
Shut up, Kyle. You're not taking Eli
He's just that
Manning.
good. So that's all I was going to say.
Yeah, dude, no.
You felt like it was a part of history. Like, you got to watch, like, him break the record. And, like, I don't see anybody else catching up to him. Even Tom Brady is a ways behind. But...
For sure.
Fun to watch.
Yeah. Now let's switch gears a bit. I mean, that was our NFL recap from the last couple of weeks, things that we've noticed and headlines that we want to talk about. But we do have an important series in baseball going on right now. It's called the World Series, for those of you that aren't familiar.
Is that important? Yeah, that's important.
It's very important.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
It's actually kind of amazing what these two teams have been able to do. First of all, starting with the Royals, I mean, they swept the postseason up until that Game 1 of the World Series last night, which they lost. But
they didn't look very good last night.
But they've been able to be effective all postseason. It's just an awesome story to see them in the World Series and competing for a championship when, for the last 30 years, they have been bad, really, really bad. They're in the same division as my White Sox, and I've never seen them as a threat before. So, like, I'm actually cheering for them in the World Series because I want to see, you know, this team that hasn't won, even though they're a rival to my team. And the Giants, they're just a model of consistency. I mean, they won it in 2010, 2012, now it's 2014, and they're back again, and very well could win another World Series, which would be their third in the last five seasons. So it's just kind of amazing what both of these teams have been able to do, just in their own regards. You know, being able to, the Giants being so consistent, and the Royals just coming out of nowhere, and just dominating the American League in the playoffs. Since I wasn't able to really watch Game 1 last night, talk to me about Madison Bumgarner's start.
Goodness gracious. I was going to say, can I just say something about this kid Bumgarner, man? Like, he's playing...
Sorry, what's his name?
His last name is Bumgarner.
Poor kid.
Madison Bumgarner. He's actually from North Carolina. A place called Hickory, North Carolina. And he is incredible with the baseball in his hands. Like, last night he looked so good. Like, they compared, because him and James Shields pitched head-to-head or whatever last night, as we know, and, like, they compared their stats. Like, Shields left the game in the 4th inning. He only pitched 3 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs. Like, he looked like crap, right? Where Bumgarner, I don't remember exactly what his stats are, so don't quote me on this, but, like, it was nuts. Like, he had, like...
I think he went 7 or 8, didn't he?
I think he went 7 or 8 innings. He had, like, 4 hits or 3 hits or something like that. Maybe a run, maybe. And, like, 5 or 6 strikeouts or something like that. So, he just looks... He looks really good, and he's definitely the ace on that team for obvious reasons. Like, he's playing really good baseball right now. And good for him. I mean, it's the World Series. You got to show up to play.
Right.
And James Shields just looked like... I'm going to say, he looked like last night. Like, big game James, that's not a thing.
Yeah, like...
Like, he's 1-3 in the postseason. That's not a thing.
I'm pretty sure...
That's not a good thing.
Pretty sure I heard... Yeah, I think his ERA is, like, over 8. But, like,
Bad.
in the playoffs. And I heard somewhere that, like, this big game James, like, he was kind of like a self-given nickname almost. From... Like, I don't think people actually...
It's got to be some...
Like, gave it to him.
It's got to be people with the last name or the name James, eh? Because LeBron did
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah. They just like to give themselves nicknames.
I was trying to think of some more Jameses. I couldn't think of any.
But yeah, Shields just hasn't...
Kevin James.
Shields just hasn't been good in the postseason. I mean, he's been able to be effective, like in the early rounds, like the wild card game. He was effective. He still wasn't good. He still wasn't great by any means. So I don't really know where this big game James comes from. Like,
don't get me wrong. Like, I want the Royals to win because the kid tonight that's pitching, what's his name?
Ventura.
He's looked really good. Aside from the leadoff home run that Blanco hit. I mean, he's looked really good. Other than that, the score's 2-2 in the bottom of the 6th right now. So the pitching's been really good. The pitching battle with PV on the mound. So like,
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, game 1 was just an absolute blowout. The Giants just outplayed the Royals. Were just able to light up Shields, and Bumgarner's just too good. Something I wanted to touch on from Game 1 is Hunter Pence. For those of you that follow baseball closely, know that there's a lot of these Hunter Pence trolling signs that fans bring to games, like, you know, Hunter Pence sits down when he pees, or Hunter Pence, you know, like there's like
weird.
There's all these just signs that are just stupid like that. And so last night there was this sign in the game, and I saw it on the internet today. It had a picture of him and that guy Marv from Home Alone, like the original Home Alone.
Yeah.
One of the bad guys from Home Alone. If anybody's
Is he the bald one?
No.
The tall one.
No, yeah, the tall one, the tall skinny guy. He said, anyway, the sign was just like, Hunter Pence is Marv from Home Alone. And it showed 2 pictures side by side, and they look very similar. The meme that I saw today about it said, started from the bottom, now we hear, and it showed Marv, started from the bottom, and then Hunter Pence, now we hear.
There's a lot of them. There's one right here. It says Hunter Pence can't parallel park.
Can't parallel park.
Hunter Pence prefers baths. Hunter Pence hates bacon. Like, it's just all kinds of
Just
crazy.
ridiculous
It's a
things.
sin.
Hunter Pence whispers sorry when he catches a fly ball.
What a pain.
And, I mean, Hunter Pence, I mean, I've always said this, like, he kind of looks like a spaz when he plays baseball. Like, the way he runs, swings, throws, like, it's just kind of like his movements are just, like, spastic. Like, he's just like, I don't know. It's
Sorry, he was like,
Weird.
what?
It says Hunter Pence still uses MySpace. Like, they're just weird, great. Hunter Pence can't shuffle playing cards. Like,
Hey, I can't
it's
either.
got nothing to do with anything.
That's a skill. It took me a while, but I got it.
But Pence did play a huge role in last night's win. He hit a home run, so good on him. But it was just a funny sign that we saw. Now, let's switch gears one more time. The NHL season has just started, and we have a resident expert here, Ben
Hello.
Drew. He loves hockey, so we're gonna let him take it away for a few minutes and tell you what's going on in the NHL.
Real quick before I get to that, I was just add to yours. Obviously I'm a Boston Red Sox fan, and I don't follow baseball enough to know a lot about Kansas City, or the Giants. But I I got on the Kansas City bandwagon. I hope they win. Like, I want the Royals to win. I think it'd be cool. Like you said, haven't been good in a long time, so.
Right.
Okay, so just real quick to finish off with the NHL, just some teams that I thought were like looking good so far. Certain teams are trash. Those are going to be Buffalo Sabres. I don't know if Buffalo has any team that's really that good. Who else? Florida Panthers. They're not looking that great either. But a couple of teams I think that are going to be legit. The Mighty Ducks. Well, not the Mighty Ducks. The Anaheim Ducks.
Well, I like that name, so go for it.
I think the Ducks have the top line in the NHL. I don't know if they run that line the whole time, but the line of Corey Perry, Ryan Getzlaf, and now Ryan Kessler, that line I think is probably one of the best in the NHL, if not the best. And the Ducks obviously had one of the better records last year, and I think that they will have one of the top records this year as well. Calgary Flames, for your local Albertans out here, Albertarians, whatever you call them. Calgary's looking really good. Obviously, they don't have a great roster, but they have a couple of young guys that have looked really good. And the couple of games that I've watched so far with our very own Barrett Williams, they were able to win a couple that I watched. Other teams in the West that I think are going to be good, my Chicago Blackhawks, looking solid, as they usually are. So I'm not really worried about them making the playoffs. I think the Colorado Avalanche have had a slow start, but I think they'll be getting back into the swing of things. One team I think is really, really like good to watch would be the Dallas Stars. They went out and they got a couple people, and they had a good season last year. Obviously, they have like Jamie Benn and his brother, and they have Tyler Seguin. They just have a young roster that's really good. They went and got Jason Spezza, and Jason Spezza just played awesome since he's been in Dallas. He had a rough time with his last little part there in Ottawa, so they'll be good. Obviously, the reigning Stanley Cup champions, the Kings, need to watch out for them. The New York Islanders would be a team that I would pick as somewhat of a surprise in the East. Montreal Canadiens are looking good too, but the Islanders just have done a lot in the past offseason, went out and got new talent, goaltending, and I think they're leading their division right now, so watch out for the New York Islanders.
Islanders fan, huh? Team of the future, I'd say.
Well, that future is now. I don't know.
Hey, man, it probably is.
But, you know, I always made fun of the Islanders. I didn't think the Islanders were ever good, and they haven't been good for a very long time. But they've got John Tavares, and I think, who's the goalie they went out and got? They got him from Washington. I was mad that they took him from Ovechkin. Obviously, Sidney Crosby, the golden boy, or whatever you want to call him, he'll carry his team. We all know I don't like Sidney Crosby. The only reason I like Sidney Crosby is because he won Canada a gold medal, and I'll love him forever for that. And then the last team I'll touch on, Washington Capitals. It's been said that Ovechkin will never win a Stanley Cup. I somewhat agree with that, but right now his team's looking really good. They have a new coach, and things look like they're going pretty smooth there. So we'll get Barrett in here one of these times, and maybe Barrett and I will have a little chat about the NHL. But anyway,
Definitely. No, yeah, thanks for doing that, Ben. We'll have more like hockey coverage. We're just about to wrap things up, so Ben was just going to do that really quickly. But we'll definitely have him talk about it more often. The NBA season is starting next week, so we're going to have a full NBA preview coming up probably this weekend. We'll have another podcast where we just preview the NBA season coming up. We'll continue to talk about the World Series and what we noticed from the NFL as well. So, again, our Twitter account, @DudeNiceSports.
Don't forget to follow us. And
Please follow us if you have Twitter. And if you don't have Twitter, get Twitter.
Follow Dude Nice Sports.
tell your mom to get Twitter.
Please.
And tweet at us. And then
Tweet at us and tell us what you think.
we can read your tweets as
Dude
part of
Nice.
our show.
Thank you.
Dude Nice Sports.
Thank you to the man who commented on our YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
These boys are D's or whatever he said.
We had one comment telling us to talk more baseball, but he said we had potential, so we're feeling pretty good about ourselves. So thanks for listening, guys.
Dude Nice Sports.
#Dude Nice Sports, @Dude Nice Sports. Give us a follow.